TESOL Presents Free Friday webinar. My name is Shelly Sanchez Terrell, and today we're actually going to be talking about how a business English, but we'll also talk about in general why Snapchat. I'm sure some of you are familiar with this mobile app, and if not, then you will become familiar with it, and why it is such a great tool for teaching in general. Um, Throughout this webinar, you'll be able to see examples, and you'll also be able to see how students today, because millions and millions love this mobile app and how they're using it in the classroom, and maybe it'll inspire you because it's very similar to some other apps such as Twitter. It's similar to Facebook and some of the features of Facebook. WhatsApp, which I know I've been to over 25 countries, and WhatsApp is a very popular app, and some English language learners use that, and teachers as well. So this is all will help with those as well. We're here because of AmericanTESOL.com. We meet every Friday. We have for several years. And if you go to AmericanTESOL.com, you can learn about our many different types of learning opportunities, either online classes that give you certifications in teaching business English, young learners, or teaching our TESOL Advanced. And then you can also take classrooms around the world. There's classes that are face-to-face classes. For all the resources, you can go to shellyturtle.com/business, or you can go to YouTube, and then the user is a TESOL, and we'll have that recording out for you soon. One of the great things about using technology and mobile apps that your students use is there's a lot of buy-in, especially when you're working with adults. And I've taught all ages. I've taught from 2 years old all the way to, adults. And I find that adults sometimes aren't as motivated to learn. They do have that motivation, that intrinsic motivation, but it's not enough to move them. So a lot of times, older learners will be set in their ways. If they're older than you, then they tend to not want to necessarily change their ways for a younger teacher. Sometimes they do go in with the intention of wanting to learn, but because they don't really have to test, or they don't want to, it's usually for their own intrinsic motivation, either because they want to travel, because they just like learning languages, or because in their job they feel like they will do better, but it's not something that they have to do, then sometimes they can lack that motivation. But if you use apps, now a lot of times adults use mobile apps. There's a number of adults that use Facebook and WhatsApp and some other mobile apps that are very, very, very popular. College students as well. College students tend to be the age range that uses Snapchat, and Snapchat is one of the most popular, most downloaded apps in the App Store by far. And one of the great things about Snapchat is that it's available to different types of mobile devices. It's available for Android, Windows, iOS as well. And it's a great way that numbers of people can get connected. And it's free. So free is always, always good. One of the things that really is so wonderful is that with a Snapchat, you are able to connect with language learners around the world. And any app, WhatsApp, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, any of those apps that are able to get you in touch with others who want to practice learning a language with you, really motivates you when you get connected to a bunch of people who are there and available to talk within that language. Native speakers, non-native speakers, it doesn't matter. Then that really helps you take the learning that you applied in the classroom and take it out of the classroom and just keep practicing. And sometimes when you teach in a country where that language isn't spoken, so for many years I taught in Greece, I taught in Turkey, I taught in Germany, and some other places, Venezuela, Brazil, just different places. My learners from that area wouldn't walk outside and immediately see English. Instead, they would see their native language, and then they would need opportunities to be able to practice that English, because then it goes. So if they're able to really tie in with a group of learners online, because a lot of our learners, especially our adult learners, have their mobile devices with them all the time. So that chance to be able to speak, listen to English is just invaluable. If you want to learn more, you can go to this website here, which is ESL Library. And I recently wrote an article this month about 9 ways to use Snapchat to teach language learners in general. But it's also many ways that you can apply it to teach geometry, geography. There's a lot of virtual field trips that you can take. I mean, there's so many ways. Math, science, there's just so much you can do with Snapchat. It's really evolved as an app. So I want to show you some of the features that Snapchat has that is really fantastic for learners of all age, of various ages and subjects. Now, it is important to note that this is for older learners, even though Snapchat is quite popular with 5 year olds, 6 year olds, and 7 year olds as well. And so, actually, and it's more, okay, so Christina brings up a really important point in the chat box. She says she thought it was a medium for teens, basically. It did start out that way. That is very true. But now it's actually a very popular app with university students, and even it's getting more popular with adults as well, who are finding that their children, they use it instead of Skype to connect with family members. Their children really love it. And I'm going to show you why children, like 5 year olds, 4 year olds, really love Snapchat. And it's because it has fun storytelling features. And that's what makes Snapchat is not just another messaging app. In fact, it's more than that. It's a storytelling app. And it constantly evolves so you can share more stories and better stories. And the one powerful ways to sell any business or market is through storytelling, and that's why it's so perfect for teaching business English. So you can friend with Snapchat, and it's like Twitter, where you don't have to friend back. You don't have to follow that person back, which means you can friend celebrities, you can friend entrepreneurs, you can friend businesses, you can friend celebrities. I mean, you can friend so many, and you can read their everyday personal narratives every single day. You can get a snapshot of their life and what they do. And the great thing about this is that with Snapchat, they do these segments where it's very short, 15 seconds. That 15-second story can be, and that's called a custom story, or regular stories. It can include pictures, it can include video. And so there's so much that it can include. It can include annotation. The other great thing, there's so many features. I can't even cover all the wonderful, amazing features it has for learning. But it does have video chat. It has where you can talk to another person, or you can talk to millions of people through video chat. You just basically, it's very self-involved. When you have an account, it may be a little confusing how all of this connects, because you have to start it off yourself. You share pictures of yourself, usually selfies. That's how it started. You share little videos, you share different things like that. And yes, that's another good point by Christina. It's only for mobile devices. It's a mobile learning tool. You don't do this on the computer. Unlike WhatsApp, that does have Twitter, that does have, and a Facebook that has a Twitter component. But it's so far number 4 download internationally, I believe, as an app. So that's important to note. But what people do is, once you start doing that, then they subscribe to you, and it walks you through that. But basically, what I'm going to talk about is how you as a teacher can get those stories together from a class, because now they have things like group chat. You can set up a chat where only your students chat together, and that can always be open, and that continues as long as somebody is chatting. The other is a photo chat. They can all, and custom stories where all of your students can add to one story. They can just contribute. You invite them, and then they all contribute their pictures, their videos, their comments, all to one story. And that's really powerful because there's so many options you can do with that. You can add stickers to your photos. You can draw on your photos, which is so wonderful for annotation. You can also look at maps. You can travel through the maps. And when you go to you can do virtual field trips where you can click on a tourist destination. Let's say that you want to visit the Louvre in France, okay? So you could click there, and people who are sharing Snapchats of who are visiting at that moment, you will be able to experience through them. So that's really awesome. They have filters. This is the fun part, and lenses. Filters and lenses are the fun parts that really young learners love. This is what your 6-year-olds, your 7-year-olds, your 5-year-olds, your 4-year-olds, and so on, 13, 12, they love this. So filter means that when you have your picture, when you're doing your selfie, it basically lets you choose what kind of costume you want to wear. You don't have to. You can just have a selfie, and then you can write a comment like, I'm having a bad day, or this is my wake up face, this is my bad hair day, oh, I'm over here, I'm at the Louvre, selfie at the Louvre, or something like that. You can definitely always just do that. You can do it as a video or an image. You can write text on an image, so that's really good, or text on a video. You can include text in a video. You can add little stickers like emojis, you can add smiley faces, that kind of things. But the powerful thing is these filters and lenses, they'll actually put like virtual reality. They'll have like little, one of them has a little hot dogs dancing in the background. It makes you look like a hot dog. One has a fairy princess. One makes you look like a cat. So if you ever see these pictures on Facebook or WhatsApp, and you see like people that, look like a cat or something, that's because they did that through Snapchat. So if you ever see them dressed up, and little kids love this. The reason I know this is because I go to different businesses, and here, my dentist, I was at my dentist recent, less than a year ago, and she told me how her 6-year-old daughter loves to just, grab the Snapchat from her and just love dressing up. They just think it's so funny. So it's not necessarily made for 4-year-olds and 5-year-olds. In fact, that's not even part of the age group that can join or make an account, but they can definitely use it for their for this. So you can see how it has so much potential. There's Discover, where you can click Discover, and this is really cool. So I'm going to show you what difference of these, how they relate to business, and why it's so powerful of a tool. I can't obviously show you everything, so that's why I'm focusing on business English. So when you do a search, when you go to top stories or you go through travel, then you're going to see here, there's going to be like different types of, let's see, let me see if I can draw on here a little bit, but let's see, let me do a selection tool. So if you're able to see here, I guess I'll put like a little square. So if you look right here, okay, then you're going to see over here in that section, let me put an arrow. An arrow is better. Okay, so over here we have an arrow. I'm drawing on this slide, by the way. And you can see these arrows here. Why is this arrow not red? I want this to be red. And unfortunately, it's just doing black, but you can see kind of here how this over here is what is important. You see where you can do highlights, travel, music, sports. A lot of businesses, when you do Discover, you can see here the different, you get to Wired magazine. So different businesses actually have their own Snapchat account, and there's different businesses every day that will show you a look inside their business. The other thing is these top stories, a lot of them are from some of the entrepreneurs, like billionaires, that are internationally around the world. So if you've ever seen the show Shark Tank, there's a couple of those millionaires, billionaires that have their own Snapchat accounts, and every day they share entrepreneurial advice. They tell you how they became an entrepreneur. They give you an insight into their business meetings. When they go to a conference, a business conference that costs $40,000 to attend, and has a speaker that they're paying like 50,000, then you get to see that speaker live. So you can see how you really get inside the lives of businesses, business magazines, and also you get insight tips that you would normally not get from any other app. But the business or the business owners, the businesses will show you that. You can do Snap Map to explore global events. So that's one option. Nowadays, being a global citizen and knowing how to communicate internationally is a very important skill for business English. And so with Snapchat, it's not only American entrepreneurs, although you do get to see a lot of those. Snapchat does have a really high American audience, but you get to see, Australian. I mean, you get to see entrepreneurs from around the world. You get to learn about political events around the world. You get to, let's say that your company's going to expand into Japan or some other place, because Snapchat is international. Your client, the people working for you, would be able to get an insight just by looking at the snaps from people in that area. So, I mean, there's a lot of insights and secrets. You can learn about the customs. So, one important thing, let's say you want to teach nonverbal communication, and let's say that your business partner is in Japan and you want to really learn how they are able to negotiate. You learn about negotiation. Then you can actually see those examples when that they do a snap. You can look through different people's snaps, and then you can see their body language, how they speak to each other. You can really study how business people negotiate, where they travel, what they do, and how what are some secrets from those entrepreneurs as well. One of the great things about Snapchat, just looking at why it's so great for English in business English in general, is one thing is that it enhances the four skills. You have reading, and you have reading in segments. So places like Wired or Newsweek or the Washington Post have interactive multimedia articles. So it's not it takes what you normally your students would see an article that's um on Wired. Let's say that they take that article, and you might have vocabulary, you might have questions, but it's still a big chunk of text, and it could be overwhelming. But with Snap, it's not like every day they're going to pick up the Wired magazine and read it. But with Snapchat, they can subscribe to it for free. It's still text, but it's small text, and then it comes up with interactive images and video that go along with that story, including someone talking about that news article, which is the reporter. The other great thing about it is you can see how I'm drawing on this slide, right? How I have, um, different, I can put circles, right now I just did an arrow. But let's say I wanted to add a circle. Let me go ahead and do that. The circle, I want to change the color. Let's say I want to change it to green. Okay. I want to do green circle, right? Right. Snapchat, you can do that as well. So this makes it to where your students can actually annotate their articles. We call this marking up. It's highlighting online. They can add arrows. They can actually highlight sections. They can add stars. They can add smiley faces if they agree or they really like that news article. If they don't like the news article, they can put an angry face, or you know, if it's about planes or airplanes and it's the aeronautic industry, then they can put like a little um, air placed um, like an airplane on it too. So there's just so much opportunity. There's so much learning there, um, and ways you can get your students to interact with these publications that do keep them on top of the big trend. And that's the thing about business English. When you do teach business English, you're teaching a lot of high-end executives want you to know two things. A, they want you to know how to teach them English for their workforce specifically. But B, they want you to teach them business as well, having those marketing, negotiation, and the things that are going to make them better all around. And so that can be pretty difficult, but with Snapchat, you have a lot of that. Like I said before, they can learn from entrepreneurs, which is really important. They get the secrets from those that are millionaires, billionaires, or ones that are very successful in their particular industry. Most of them have a Snapchat. They can also study business culture in real time. These aren't things just from a textbook that you read that was published 10 days, you know, 10 years ago that says this is the way that you know um, they do business in China, or they do business in Brazil. These are actual real um, snaps and real time where you get to see it now. That's the business culture today. Okay. If there's like a big event happening, like for example, let's say you want to learn how Hurricane Irma or Hurricane um, Harvey impacted the oil industry or petroleum industry in um, in in Houston. That's a big international hub. A lot of international businesses want to know that they can look at Snapchat, and they can get real insight. How is it affecting the shipping industry right now in Puerto Rico? All of those things you could see in real time today. And um, how is Las Vegas do any of these events you stay on top of, and they're from people who are actually there, who are sharing those snaps. Okay, you can get the inside scoop on news and trends. You also have time, like I said, that interactive English where you can annotate, and it's real small text. If you subscribe, you can download those articles. You can download those snaps from the Wired magazine, from news magazines. And you can have a digital copy, which is so amazing. It's like an interactive magazine in your hand, that you can do, yes, for free. You can do this all for free. Because a lot of businesses have not found out how to make, a Snapchat hasn't exactly gone to the point where they've discovered how to, they have the businesses pay to do this, and they haven't figured out how to get people to pay for this. So it's all free, which is really, that's a great point to bring out, because you wouldn't be able to take a magazine unless you would have to pay for it. And even then, where are you going to save all of those magazines to be able to refer to when you need? So if you have the digital interactive copy, then that makes so much better sense to do. And what they do, they don't put the whole entire magazine, but they put the top stories, the stuff that they think that will really attract people, and what they can make very interactive and like a visual, cool. You have to check out the stories to be able to see what I mean by how engaging they are. They do such a good job of turning a story into this multimedia segment. Understanding, you learn the one of the most important things about Snapchat is that a lot of businesses are using it to for personal branding, and that's such a huge topic that is neglected in business today. If you go to business school, they're barely touching on how social media is used to really brand, how to also uh, make a business better. So not only are you doing your students a service by getting them to learn English, but you're also showing them something that no other employee really is going to be able to bring to the forefront. So I think your older learners will really appreciate that as well, because a lot of younger learners know how to use social media and they're used to it, but a lot of older ones might not know. Okay, these are the businesses that I can follow, and I can see what how they're using Snapchat to make the business more profitable. These are ideas they can take to their personal companies, and then that could really help them with their promotions, and also in their professional life. It also helps them connect with companies, because you can connect with an entrepreneur. You can add, like, you can respond. You can say, I really like this snap. You can connect with them, and after a while, if they see you're a valuable member, you're another person like them, you may actually get that particular entrepreneur, that businessman, that millionaire or billionaire, to really to pay attention to something you're doing. So that's not necessarily something, but you can connect with other companies. Or let's say that your even university students, they're looking, or even high school students, to work for different companies. They have a dream to work for Google someday, or work for one of Microsoft or something. They can check out the Snapchat profile, learn the culture of Google, or the Bronson. They can learn of all these businesses, see what they're really looking for, and when they go into their interviews, they will have all of this personal insight about that company. They'll be able to, and being able to say that, oh well, I've already had a tour of your particular thing, and this is what I noticed from your Snapchat. I really like that June. Devereaux from the HR department does your Snapchat. I really, that's so impressive for someone to bring up in an interview versus somebody else who doesn't know any of this. So it really does give them that personal connection. A lot of HR recruiters are using Snapchat to find potential job candidates. The reason that they do this, the reason why they, in this particular article that thanks Peggy George has shared, talks about how in the Harvard Business Review, how a lot of companies are looking for great social media, those connected to social media and stuff, how they're hiring, and they want to attract different candidates to their jobs. And they're actually showing the insights. They give tours in their companies, and then they're trying to connect and get people excited to work for them. And they find a lot of potential candidates this way. So it is a hiring tool now, which is so important, especially in today's market, where a degree doesn't mean as much as it used to. So just because you have a degree, just because you need something that sets you aside, and this could be a way. You can set up a class account. That's what I would recommend. I would not recommend setting up your own personal account. I don't think that that's good practice. I know some teachers do, and they're okay with that. Okay. I personally would set up a class account at, Business English or something like that. And then the most of the things, when you want to find a tutorial, when you're saying, wow, I need to learn about all of this, there's so much that I can't cover. But if you go to support.snapchat.com, it'll go to your country. It should even say it in your language, whatever the language is in your country. They should have some kind of translation or something. It should automatically go when you put Snapchat. And when you get to the support area, that's where it's going to show you all of, and look at all these tons of features. That is why I can't even talk, show you all the incredible things that it does. It also took me a couple of weeks before I got to really learn everything that Snapchat has to offer. And I'm not a Snapchatter. I'm not like the best. You're not going to go to my account and connect with me and see a lot of great things because I use it for a study tool, which your students can do. They don't have to be good at Snapchat, but they get access to all of this just by being on the platform, and it's free. You can also find a lot of tools if you go to snapchat.education. They actually have a lot of useful tools, and in articles that tells you how to create those custom stories with your class. This is one that they had. There's not a lot on it. There's only like a couple of articles that are very useful for education. They're still building it. You can